what Sophia Sarah Esther does. She does a lot of great stuff. Look at this huge support group that came out.
Yay!
So hopefully you'll come to more events. We'll have to keep featuring you. That's it.
Okay.
But lately, I have actually enjoyed watching her posts of her courageous attempt. We were just discussing, some of her friends and I, how she is one of the bravest women I know, who will just go out there and try something new at any time. And it really is a lesson to all of us that no matter what we're doing in life, don't be scared to try new things or to take on new projects. It just makes life more exciting and more interesting. And we just grow from it. And she definitely grows from all her experiences and all the things that she's constantly trying, whether it's in Judaism, whether it's in her work life, whether it's with her kids, whatever it is, cooking. She's constantly asking for new recipes. So she's always trying new things, and this is her newest venture. When I saw her clips, I thought I was just rolling, and I just loved the way that they were actually kind of based off of her life, which was, sometimes you want to cry for her. I grew up as a little American, whatever, in my own little bubble. Not that it was easy, but it was different, and these were her struggles, and the way that she's able to laugh at it, and that's what we do. Everyone knows that as Jews, a lot of us turn our experiences into moments of humor, but that's what she did so well. And I really thought, now that we go into the month of Adar, which starts this week, Rosh Chodesh, the beginning of the month is Thursday and Friday, and this is a happy month. This is a joyous month. We have the holiday of Purim, bringing joy to the whole world. We get dressed up and we give each other Purim baskets, and it's a time of joy. And a great way to start would be to hear the comedy of Sophia Tamarkin, and I really think everyone's going to enjoy.
Okay.
Take it away.
I'm going to take it away. Okay, I was just sharing with my friends here that I always had this ambition to try new things. And my father said to me, there might be a situation in life when you don't know how to, climb off the tree. I actually wrote a book about that, or to accomplish something. So when someone calls you up to land a plane, you just have to say, I can't do it. And I said, that's not possible. Of course I can do it. He's like, no, Sonia, you cannot land planes. And I said to myself, well, if they give me instructions and tell me step by step how to land a plane, perhaps I can. Thank God that did not happen yet. But I find myself right now in a similar situation. I did do, little more stand-ups, but this is my first gig, and thank you all for coming to support me. I want to tell you something funny. When I told my parents, that I'm going to do comedy now, my father, he's like, with a Russian accent, he's like, yes, you can do this. I think you can do this, but, don't joke so much about me. Mama, on the other hand, she's very funny. Like, for example, yesterday, somebody called, and I picked up the phone. I don't know who that is. And I said, yes, we miss you too. Absolutely, we should get it. Of course, come over for a cup of tea. And you should have seen Mama's eyes. I told her, someone is coming for a cup of tea. And she said, who is coming? I don't know. It wasn't polite of me to ask. So she was so funny at that moment. She wanted to cry, scream, her face. You should mention it. I'm like, okay. My brother, on the other hand, he has like a very dry sense of humor. So he's like, you got to be brief. Like, you arrive to the wedding, you say, my condolences, give a gift, and leave. I'm like, okay. My husband, on the other hand, he said, you know what? All the stories you mentioned, they make us feel so vulnerable and not together. Maybe you should just say, like, this person I know. Don't say our kids that we didn't discipline properly. Just say someone we heard about. So the whole story is about this someone that I don't know very well. I just heard about them. Most of my friends here are like, don't point at me, okay? Just like, wink, I know you're talking about me. So my business partner, on the other hand, Murray, whose wife Judy is here, he really had enough of me. Like a couple of years ago, we had a business meeting in Canada, in Montreal, and I saw on Groupon, which is a big enemy of my family and friends, because I buy things on Groupon that I don't need, but seem interesting. There was an ice hotel on sale, literally, an ice hotel, a hotel made out of ice. So I didn't really tell him and his wife that we were going to be staying in an ice hotel. And I bought that deal. The really, like, the hotel is made out of ice, but he likes tropics, right, Judy? He always go to, like, islands, the St. Thomas and Aruba kind. So there's a room where you were supposed to change for the actual ice box room, where you're put in a special sleeping bag. But I think he literally fell asleep in the changing area because he said, I'm okay here. There was like a little corner. He slept in the changing area. He never went to to the actual ice room. So he's like, you know what? You're not funny altogether. Just go back to your routine work. So my kids, on the other hand, they said, you know, you post on Facebook, and Facebook is for people over 65. So no one really knows what you're talking about. This is cool. Just don't like do Snapchat. We're good. So I'm like thinking back to myself, when did all these things start happening? And I noticed that I think, you know, past immigration, which I'll mention to you guys, I think motherhood really like made like a real change in my life where I had to think outside of the box. So I was very young when I had my son Daniel, and we brought him from the hospital, and we like really went with our routine. We watched the movie, we put him to sleep, and then like we laid in bed, and then like we hear, ah! And my husband Sasha's like, what is this? I'm like, oh, we had a baby. Yes, that's right. What do we do? I'm like, oh, we nurse him. So I nurse him. I put him back, like go back to the bed, my normal life. And, ah! So I'm like, what do we do now? I think we should change him. But yes, there's definitely a second good one. So then we go back, you know, we change him, and then like I climb into bed, try to go to sleep. I'm about to fall asleep again. Yeah, I'm like, what is going on? I mean, like literally, like we did 2 things already. That's a lot. I think we should burp him. So like this went on. By morning time, if I had like pictures to show you next time, maybe I'll have a slideshow. We're like, okay, we have to think of plan B. We don't like this very much. This is not going to work out. Like, what were we thinking? We should give him as a Hanukkah gift. This was December. Family and friends, or really anyone who would have him. So we decided to make like a photo shoot. We put him around stuffed animals and put Bo in the most beautiful area that you had to cover up. We're like, we're going to present this to parents. Maybe they'll want him, because clearly on night number 3 of not sleeping, you know, like you need to sleep. This is a perfect Hanukkah gift. So since Daniel was born, like, things were really difficult to deal with, and I like to travel. So one time I went on an app similar to Groupon. This was years ago. I'm telling you, it's a big enemy of my family and friends. And I see this deal of a cruise on Hawaii. The problem is that like leaving like this Tuesday. And it's like, I don't know, 80% off, like very cheap. And I'm thinking, oh, this would be really wonderful. And I was about to really transition into my business, so I didn't have a job, and was like a perfect time to go. But we had Daniel because no one took him for the Hanukkah gift. So he was about like 1 by this time. So I'm thinking, okay, my in-laws live in New York, and the flight is out of JFK. Oh, by the way, this whole story is not about me. I forgot. It's the girl I know, right? Okay, so we arrive at my in-laws with a suitcase and Daniel, and you know, for Daniel, we're like, wow, you really brought a lot of stuff for like 3-hour visit in New York. And we're like, yeah. We're not saying, and I just keep going like, Hawaii, it's such a beautiful place. They're like, yes, indeed it is. Like, yeah, I saw a documentary. It would be such a nice thing to do to visit Hawaii. And they're like, yes, it would be. Maybe you should go. I said, maybe I should. And they're like, you seem like really on this. Like, what's going on? I'm like thinking to myself, like, this is the time to go. I'm like, yeah, I think I'm gonna go. You know what? Why not go today? And they're like, what? And I'm thinking to myself, like, lucky them. So we're like, yeah, we have a flight to catch in like 3.5 hours. So really, we brought Daniel. They're like, what? We don't have a chair, you know, the high chair. We don't have a stroller. Like, okay, but like we have a flight to catch. So my mother-in-law, she's like, this is a joke, right? Like, nope, not a joke. Here's a suitcase. Here's Daniel, and yeah, Daniel probably will need a lot of therapy after he watches this. I don't remember it, but now, yeah. So we go to Hawaii. We come back. This is very funny. And also, I wish I would have like a slideshow. They, maybe it's not a nice thing to say in a synagogue, but they stole a shopping cart and use it as a stroller. So that they parade around the boardwalk with Daniel in a shopping cart, and then they stole a high chair from a restaurant. You know, now I can't imagine how they would steal like a shopping cart, right? But how would they steal a high chair from? They must have been pretty desperate. I also, like the last minute before I left, I'm thinking to myself, like, you know, it's time for him to forget the pacifier. You know, it's always so hard, like, oh, they're mad already, so I just took a pacifier with me. And then on the way to the airport, I called them, how's everything? And they're like, have nothing good to say that I could repeat right now. And I'm like, what is like something in Russian he would like say for the pacifier, like sosa or something? What? I'm like, I don't know, I think it means like he's so happy to be with you. He's screaming with his passenger. We come back, it's all good. So that trip, by the way, was very, very funny because by that time we were trying to be more observant. And we bought from the ship, like there was an excursion. It's very funny, actually, to me right now. There's a time during the summer when the temple was destroyed, and three weeks prior, we're not supposed to like do happy things. And swimming in the ocean is considered to be like one of the things, especially the last 9 days. So I forgot about that, and I purchased like the snorkeling tour. So we go on the boat with another couple, and like, you know, we already paid. And next thing I know, oh my God, we're like on day 3 from the 9 days. We can't go in the water. So I'm like, but we already paid and we already have the equipment. What do we do? So I'm like thinking to myself, my whole body's not in the water, so it probably doesn't count. So we had like this couple hold us by our feet on the boat so we could still snorkel, but only with our head. Guy to comply with religious observance. And these people are like, Jews are very unusual people. And I'm thinking, you have no idea. So that was really funny. In general, like I'm gonna be, well, that girl I know is not very good with instructions and directions. Like I don't think in my whole life I like really sat down and read instructions and directions, just so, you know, God helped me with this presentation so I could literally show you what I mean. I bought my husband a gift just recently, and I don't read descriptions or instructions, so I bought him a cologne. I thought it was a good price. But you see, I didn't really read that it's not the size, you see. It's traveling. It's meant like this, of course, but you know, he was a little surprised. Yeah, so my poor son Daniel, because I don't read instructions, directions, a lot has happened to him during the time of him growing up. So one time, I bought the kit, the one that you do memory, you know, like where you put your hand and then you pour like cement over it. And their big instructions / directions is like, put a glove, so you cement the glove and then you take your hand out, right? You see where I'm going with this? Yeah. So, yeah, like he's like about 3 years old, very cute with big curls. So we're like, we are going to do memory kid. He has no idea I plan to cement him into a memory kid. He will become the memory kid. So I like make the cement, put his hand, you know, of course no glove, who needs instructions? And I pour cement over him. So God has blessed me that my dad comes in. He visits a lot, so he comes in, he's like, hey, what are you guys doing? We're like, a memory kid. He's like, that sounds wonderful. What is this material? I'm like, cement. He's like, what? Do you know how? I'm like, this is America, Dad. You have no idea. They think of everything. They do, but not of you because you didn't read the instructions. So he's like, Daniel, can you move the hand? He's like, no. So he like you know, it only happened like 2 minutes ago, so he like still barely moves. Get your hand out, get your hand out. So he starts very hard, and like we were able to like do the knife thing and take him out of the memory kit. But thank God he doesn't remember. So if I don't show you this video and you keep my secret, he'll never know. So another thing that because I don't do instructions, the directions, very funny. To some people like myself now, but not to my family members. So when we travel, I don't really believe so much in checking the weather, how it is like in Alaska in August. So like we married and we went to Alaska, and I'm thinking it's August, right? Like clearly, like you take sundresses and shorts and things like that. So we arrived, like apparently it's not so hot in Alaska in August. So Sasha is like a very relaxed and very supportive person, as you could see. So he's like, I think we could wear bathrobes as coats. You know, they like bathrobes. So we like paraded like all our tours in bathrobes because we didn't really have money to buy coats. So this really did work out. But I do have this affinity to like old things. I don't like to throw old things because I get used to them. So one of the things like from my childhood I got really used to is a thermometer. Those are from Russia, they know, like it has real mercury. Like you do this, and every time someone sees me do this with real mercury, they get like very nervous because I'm known to break things. So they're like, whoa, I'll buy you a thermometer for your birthday. Forget it, for this week, like, don't do this. So I have a lot of thermometers. If you need any, come. Like, I'm okay. So, and my husband is always worried that like I'll break the, like, he confiscated them all, but then I go to Russian pharmacy and buy more. Because it does show the exact Celsius temperature and I know what to do, which is to give Motrin regardless, but I feel in control. I feel in control. So one time, the unimaginable, what I was told is gonna happen, did happen. I like did this, you know, to get it cleared. This thermometer, and like there was something behind me and it cracked, and all those little cute bubbles, like droplets of mercury, they're like all over my floor. I heard terrible things about mercury growing up in Russia, like it's dangerous, so I don't want anyone to know. So like I send kids outside and I'm standing there like I don't know what to do. The worst thing is for my husband to find out, because clearly he told me so. So like I collect them with the paper, and then I sit there like, should I confess? Should I deny? Am I like, what's going to happen? So I decide it's time to confess, but not to the family, but the poison control. So I called the poison control number and I said, you know, I am a terrible human being. I've done the unthinkable. I broke a Russian thermometer. Please come and save me. So lucky me, they come in. I don't know if you ever call poison control. I don't recommend you guys do, because it's really scary. Like then you need like to call a psychiatrist. They came with this huge truck, like news with like antennas. I guess like God forbid if I worked for Al Qaeda they would need that, but I only broke a Russian thermometer. So they all came in, and you know they like go. They have a special outfit they wear. I'm like, maybe I should have used the American thermometer after all. So like they come in, they check, like they measure everything in the corner. I'm like, I only broke it here. I'm so sorry. They're like, calm down, ma'am, calm down. Please be escorted out of this room. Next thing I know, Sasha pulls over. Oh my God. He doesn't know what happened. I mean, what could happen? That we have like all these cars outside, you know, like that look like news. So when at the end, it turned out that I only broke the thermometer from all the things that could have happened that could have caused this chaos from the neighborhood, neighbors, everybody walking around like, what happened? It was nothing. And I'm not going to tell you if I still have the thermometers at home. The story has no end. I also want to share with you that, like, when we travel to different countries, it's really, really cool to like plan Shabbat, because we keep Shabbat, and always like it's important to know when Shabbat ends. So we went to a place above Arctic Circle, and it's like really, really interesting. And I Google like it's like in June, right? And I'm thinking like, what time Shabbat ends? So I'll know if there's no connection like to Wi-Fi, whatever. And it says like August 5th, and I like couldn't understand what's going on. Apparently, it's like all the night doesn't end. It's always light outside until August 5th, and I'm like, oh, that's like, I mean, I'm trying to be like spiritual and everything, but that's like next level. This is like, 64-day Shabbat. I don't think I can handle that. Cross off the list. I try to tell you many immigration stories, and some of my friends here that I'm not allowed to point to, we've immigrated together, and a lot of funny stories happen to us, because literally you come to the country and you don't know anything, you don't speak the language, like you're lost, you look to the right, to the left, like you call a friend, like, I don't know where I am, like, well, read what's on the right, no, walk, what's on the left, don't walk. Oh, now I know where you are, like between the sign walk and don't walk, So a lot of things that are like so confusing. For example, we have a friend that ran in, her grandma runs in, and she's like, there's free chicken in the store, free chicken. So she gathers the whole family up. Free chicken, like this is important, right? Like everybody come. So everybody like run to like this intersection. Apparently it's a bank and it's free checking. Right? But it's worth a try. Now, I like coming to the country in a teenage years. It was very hard. So my aunt is here, so I want to like honor her with a funny story. It's like now it's funny, then it wasn't. My parents bought a house, and I used to like live with my aunt and uncle because I had to finish the grade. And they have two boys, and they are pretty normal. So perhaps I became not so standard even before I had kids, now that I think about it. Well, that other girl. So someone like from India told me of a very good remedy to make your hair thicker and more beautiful. And that is, to be exact, you grate the onion. I think I should stop here, right? In someone else's house, you grate an onion, and then you just put it in your hair, and then you put like a cap, and you just walk around for a couple of hours. I mean, the whole thing is just like leaking everywhere. And you're not even like, but like in about 10 minutes, you don't even smell it anymore, because you can imagine, right? And then they arrive from work. Actually, my uncle, I think like he's still not okay from that, from those couple of weeks that I lived there. No, a couple of months. So yeah, and then we were poor, but they had to throw away like all the bathroom, you know, the little rugs and the curtains. I mean, this was not salvageable at all. Nor was my hair. It was very shiny, but I became friends with Indians because they wouldn't tolerate the way I smelled, and they were wonderful people, but like Russian Jews, not so much. So in case someone gives you a good remedy for your hair and it involves an onion or a garlic, I don't recommend it. Just letting you know. I don't know if you guys heard about the story of how we came to America, in a sense that, like the luggage story. Have you heard it? Should I repeat it? I'll just repeat it because it's funny. So we came out of Russia when I was 12 years old, and all you could take with you was 2 suitcases per person. So my grandmother was a very prominent doctor, and she happened to have like a lot of very good stuff, so she decides to take an extra suitcase. So they put them on a belt, and we're a family of 7. So the last suitcase that was an extra one, like that's it. So my grandmother was like a big lady with like an attitude. She had enough of that country. She really was ready to leave. Like, no joke, not another minute. Like the exodus from Egypt. She had enough. We're leaving now. So she's like telling this poor guy who works for Russian customs, like a poor KGB guy. He doesn't know what's going on. So she's like, please let me give you a gift. No, you can't take it with. So she's like, oh, really? No problem. And what happened is my parents already, they went to the other side, like they crossed the border. It was just me, my brother, and my grandmother that were on this side. So she takes this last suitcase, my brother and I, she puts us in the bathroom, and she's like, everything in this suitcase is you're gonna have to wear. Because there's no law that you can't wear like 9 skirts on a 5-year-old boy, and other articles that my brother asked me not to mention, with double D size. Anyways, so so we come out of there. If looks could kill, like I would literally pay money now to see the face of that custom guy, right? Because we're not violating any laws. Like, who says he's speechless, right? We are so big, we can't fit through the exit. My grandmother is wearing, she couldn't, and she tied everything on us, because we were little, like everything would just, so we're wearing like these robes, nightgowns, we have like toilet paper sticking out of our pockets, you know, like wearing them as bracelet and toilet paper. I don't know, we felt like there is no toilet paper in America. So, we have all this stuff, and then she's really big, like she has all these dresses, and on top of it, she's wearing a raincoat, and she's wearing like all these, you know, like tying like a babushka type things, and like a very expensive beret made out of like fur on the side. And of course, you can't take money out, so everything is gold and earrings, and so you're like sparkling, you're like illuminating the airport. And the guy's like shocked, like all that's left is like an empty suitcase. He's like, this is a gift for you, like go for it. And so like we can't fit her. So my brother and I like literally like trying to push her through this entrance, you know, like this rolling thing. And she's holding like a bathrobe on this finger. And the guy, like he can't speak. He just can't speak. So he says like, "Are you okay?" or something. She's like, "Yeah." In Russian, it's like, "Я мерзну, сыночек." Means like, "Oh, I get so cold. I get so cold." So we're like, meanwhile, my brother and I are like pushing her through the thing, trying to like leave. And then my parents, they didn't see what's happening because they're on the other side. And then we arrived, like my father, he's like a very intelligent guy, like very proper. He had to sit down, you can only imagine what we look like with all those toothbrushes and the very necessary bathroom items sticking out from every pocket that we had. So this is true story, and it's funny now, but I think that, imagine going back, like how lost we were, and we've survived it, so it's wonderful. Now, my dad is like a really funny guy. He's like very adventurous. Maybe I take it after him, and he likes to grow things. He used to work in agriculture back in Russia, so he always finds some interesting things to eat, which don't end well often. And then he would pick a tree. Oh, look, a new berry. What would happen if I eat it? Well, some things that will happen. I'm not gonna. Yeah. So he just eats random things, and then he also grows random things. And one year he saw a seed from somebody from Ukraine, and he looked at this little bush, and it kept growing. Within 3 weeks, it became a huge tree. He's like, miraculous! Can I have the seeds? And they gave it to him. So he plants it outside of their bedroom, and it grows like miraculous. I've never seen anything grow so much. And my mom, she complains. She's like, every morning I have such dreams. They're like cartoon. There's a lot of color, and I've never had such dreams. They're very interesting. I can't get up. So he's like, I don't know, I almost feel like it started when you planted this. Like, oh no, look how beautiful this thing is. I don't even know. This thing outgrew the house in a month. So next thing, they get a letter from the township, and the Homeland Security is inquiring about this plant because Al Qaeda uses it for narcotics and a biological weapon. So they're my mom has a lot to say about that, if you can imagine. She goes bananas. I told you so. Something's not right with that. So apparently this particular plant, if you use it properly, it makes people hallucinate and have deep sleep or something like that. So they want to know where they got it. He got it from an Ivan from that street. I don't know where he got it. So he's like, I don't know. So they wanted really to know the source of it. But my father, he's a true champion. Never. If you let him grow anything, he will never betray you. So you can feel very comfortable. He also does he's very used to old things. He's very attached to things. And in his opinion, if you wear pants long enough, decades go by, but then it becomes fashionable again. Just don't throw things away. That's his advice for life. And then he buys the most randomest thing at garage sales because he likes it. And last time, a couple of years ago, he bought this spa. I don't know, probably from 1700s. I don't even know. You sit inside and only your head is sticking out, and he thinks it's very useful. He brought it into the basement, you sit in it and you close the lid and only your head is sticking out, and you're it's like a spa experience. It was literally developed 100 years ago, before all the innovations. It's I buy you a record player and say, this is the most innovative thing. You're where did you yeah. So his house, he has all the, in case you need some relic to bring to show and tell, please ask me. I'll be more than happy to share. Now, I want to share with you, because we're in a synagogue, a few stories that have to do with my attempt to keep Jewish laws, which are very funny, and Sasha, my husband, says that these are the funniest. So, as you know, on Shabbat, you're not allowed to turn things on and off. So, a couple of years ago, I left the light in my oven with all the food inside, and now I can't open it because it would turn the light off, whatever the way my oven works. So all I need is for someone just to turn off the light, and it's good. But there's no one around. So I walk outside, and I see this guy, an older Chinese-looking person. He's running, he's exercising. So I start running after him. Excuse me. He really exercises a lot, because he starts running really fast. He doesn't know what I want. So I run after him really fast as well, but then he gets even faster. So I'm thinking to myself, let me meet him in the circle. I stop, I wait for him, and then now, so I know, he runs towards me now. What does he do? So I say, help. He doesn't speak English. So I'm help me, please, help me. So he like stops. He doesn't understand what I want, but clearly I'm in huge danger for life. Like someone's life is in danger. So I'm like, please, come, help. So he like walks with me, we get to our house. He's scared to walk in. I would not. If I was not me, I would not. This is just next level strange. So we walk in, he is literally ready to see like a dead body. For sure, at least one. I don't know why he would agree to like help me dispose of the body, because clearly something is going on. So he walks with me and he like looks, into the kitchen, and then I'm like, come, help. So he quietly like keeps on walking into the house, and now he really, I don't know. And then I show him this button on my oven, and I show him, push, help. Like I'm right here, but I'm not pushing the button. Like he probably thought that Homeland Security wired the potential World War III to my oven, right? Like what is going on? So again, he's a brave man, and my most respect to him. He hits that button and he like stands there. He's waiting for the world to end. And I'm like, yes, thank you, you saved me, thank you, I appreciate your help. I think that he's somewhere in Chinese stand-up comedy. Still not sure what happened to him. And then like another funny story happened about the observance also. Like we had a neighbor, and I forgot to turn on lights in my bedroom, and I can't sleep with the lights. So Sasha's like, forget it, he just lays and falls asleep. I'm like, no, I'm going to find a way to turn off the lights. So I go outside, and we have a lot of Asians in our development. I think they will all move after, if I don't stop this. So there's this guy sitting in the car, it's like 1 a.m, and I knock. He gets like really scared, and I'm like, again, with my whole help thing, he doesn't understand a word. So I'm like thinking, how would I explain to him that, I'm Jewish and I don't need to, whatever, I just need to turn off the lights. So I'm like, you Buddha. Buddha? Yes, Buddha. I'm Jewish. Like, nope. Buddha, yes, but Jewish, no. Okay, forget it, Buddha is good too. So I'm like, come. I go with my whole routine about the Buddha. I don't know, he's just not getting it. So I get really frustrated, because when I set my mind to something, it usually happens, but it's just not happening. So he like, he closes the window, like locks all the doors and windows. Not in the mood, okay? It's now like 1:30 and I still keep on going, help and Buddha, that's all. So another car pulls, his nephew or someone. So I like go to the nephew, and I also like knock on the door, and the guy and I'm like, hi, very slow, like, me, help, you Buddha, me Jewish, I need help. The guy is like, like a young guy, he's like, hey, what's your problem? I'm like, oh, good. He's like, what do you want? It's like almost 2 now. Okay, I know it's gonna sound very strange, even to me, but he's like, do you keep Shabbos? I'm like, oh. He goes, yeah, I go to Lower Morian, right? It's called Moreland High School. Like, I have a lot of people that ask me for help. I'm like, really? Look at your uncle. He's like in therapy now. He's covering himself as a code. He can't wait he's scared to get out of the car. Like, can you go translate to him? He turned on the light, and like I watched him from the window how he explains to his uncle that this like crazy girl is actually like really crazy. Oh, that girl I know, right? So it's really funny, because I'm trying to like live in many worlds, and it's funny because just recently my dear friend and I and our husbands, we went to Morocco, and every time like we go, we try to arrange for Shabbat. And we have the family that was supposed to host us, they speak Arabic and French. And we speak Russian and English. And, they also speak Hebrew, and we say shalom, pretty much. We come with shalom. Shalom. So, like, we come for Shabbat. We don't, like, that's it, shalom. Like, what time, where to be, like, nothing. So our guide is trying to translate between Jews and Jews. It's not an easy task. Not at all. He's like standing there, he's going crazy. Like they are talking nonstop with instructions, and I'm talking nonstop to them, to Sasha. She's like, okay, stop! So he's like, one sentence, he's translating, and they can't understand how come, and he can't understand how come we don't speak each other's language, because it's like such a strange thing that we speak so many languages, but we can't talk. So this guy, like he did like one sentence in Russian, from us in English, then he translated it to French. They're like, like they understand. Then they said something in French to him, then he translated to English, and like this was like interesting and sad and happy all at the same time, because here you are with like family members in a way, you know. But it's interesting to see how we're all over the world. I was sharing my story with NCSY teens, and it's a funny story, but it's a meaningful story. How one guy, I shared this here last week, how one guy was driving on a highway and he saw a car stop with a hood open, and the guy was wearing a kippah. So he goes very fast, and oh goodness, you know, someone is in trouble. He made this exit, you know, it's a lot of work. So he ends up going back, and he stops and he comes close, and it's like a Hispanic looking guy. So of course he helped him, but he's like, I mean, with all due respect, are you Jewish? He's like, oh, no. It's like, okay, but why do you have a kippah? Oh, he's like, oh, my dad, he used to live where Jews live, and they said, like, have this secret hat, if you're ever in trouble, put it on, someone will come and rescue you. And look, it worked. So that's pretty much like a secret thing. So, yeah, that's a good one. When we travel, it's like really interesting to see how different cultures run and how everything is. So, like when we travel, my husband always like is a good sport, but he doesn't often know where we're going. There was a time in our lives when we were going to Thailand, but he thought we were going to Taiwan. And he actually exchanged the money, so we arrive in the country, and when I tell you he doesn't know where he is, literally, he doesn't know where he is. And then he's like, we're going in the elevator, and there's pictures of money. He's like, oh, look, elephants. But we have like giraffes on the money. Where are we? I'm like, we're in Thailand. He's like, oh. And you know, you lose money on exchange, right? So we try to go to places, and it's very interesting to like do your research and things like that, and talking about like stories when you travel. Again, my friend and I, my friend who is here today, who asked me not to point her out, but she knows who she is. It's interesting because I'll finish with a few more stories. Like talking about some embarrassing stories that happened. We arrive in South Africa, in Johannesburg, and we have like 10 hours before our flight, and it's too expensive to rent a hotel because, you know, like you're not there at night. So you have a whole day, you're too tired, and it's already like the last day. So I'm thinking to myself, oh, look, a walking distance from here is a very expensive hotel that's like $600, $700 a night. We can go sit on the beach, at the pool, and just relax. So we arrived, they're like, nope, you can't do it, you have to stay here. Well, it's not worth it. So we're like, I'm thinking to myself, okay, plan B. I quickly Google, and remember, I'm not really good with instructions and directions, so I quickly Google, like, do they have other hotels? And it says that in Moscow, they also have another hotel, like a sister hotel. So I'm like, oh, really? Well, I'm from Moscow, I work in the sister hotel, I'm a manager, and if you were ever stranded, we'll love to have you. And he's like, yeah, hold on, I'll get a manager. That should have been a good sign for me to like just go away, but no, I don't stop. So the manager comes in, it's like, really listens. And I'm like, by this time, I really believe that I work in that hotel in Moscow. And I'm like, really, like, can't believe their attitude. Like, why wouldn't they let me sit by the pool? You know, if you go in it for a long time, you start believing it. So then, like, a really top manager comes in. I'm like, I'm very upset and disappointed. I'm a big manager in a Moscow hotel. He's like, this is all good, except that it's not built yet. You know, there would be a hole in the floor, like, just take me in. This was like, goodbye now. Suddenly, I I remember I'm not a manager at that hotel. You know, when you go like to places, most countries have things don't have things we take for granted. Every bathroom, I wrote myself a note because it's like so funny. Every bathroom, there's 5 components that we take for granted. The toilet paper, the actual toilet, the light, the soap, and the water. So there's never like a bathroom that has all 5. Like you come in, oh look, there's soap and there's light, but there's no actual toilet to sit on, and there's no water. And like, it's always like a combination. Something's always missing, you know, like, you know. So finally, we're in the airport, and I come in, oh, there's lights, like incredible. And there's a toilet, like a literal toilet, wonderful. And then you could see there's soap and a toilet paper. Like that's like a lot. So the experience is going really well. And then I'm washing my hands, putting soap, and the 5th component is water, right? Missing. So yeah, it just happened to me. So I'm like, that's it. So I walk into the men's bathroom and I just turn on the water and wash soap from my hands because like it's enough. And when you go to places, you come back, you like really appreciate how lucky we are. Like you go in America to Yosemite National Park, so much away from civilization, every bathroom has all 5 components. Next time you go, remember and appreciate 5 components of the bathroom. And before I conclude, I just wanted to tell you a few funny stories about April Fools. I have a friend who's also here who's very composed, and I'm always in awe how together she is. So I always try to make very funny April Fool jokes, like that would really like wake people up, like really, like no joke. So like for example, I told a couple of years ago that to everybody, including my friend, that like they're putting like things in the air, and they thought it was to make the pollution better, but they by mistake put like biological some kind of thing, and you have to evacuate. So it's really interesting how people react. But like this friend of mine who's very together, I call her, and it's right before Shabbat. I'm like, did you evacuate yet? Like if someone says this to me, did you evacuate yet? I don't think I would continue with the conversation. I would just put on my shoes and start running. But she's like, no, I'm in the kitchen. I can't smell anything. What's going on? So it's like really interesting. April Fool is coming. If I were you, I would really look out for me because I have a good one coming up this year that I'm thinking about to test the level of tolerance of my family and friends. I think last year I told everyone that someone passed away next to my grandmother's apartment, and they have 2 cats, and I'm going to rescue one, and I'm driving to your house to bring you the second. And it's interesting how people transition. First they're like, oh, that's so cute, you rescued 2 cats, that's so wonderful. You going where? To my house? Wait a second! Like suddenly, like when it has to do with you, it's not so funny anymore. So I think that this is a good beginning of, you know, I do have a side job running an orthopedic company, but this seems to be taking a priority, and I really enjoy it. So I appreciate the fact that you guys gave me a chance. I do have a really good friend whose name is Gita, and you know, all she needs these days is smiles and positive energy. She's not well, so I dedicate my class to Gita. Gital Haya Bas Senya Genya. She couldn't come today because she's not well. But I think that laughter and positivity and jokes and experiences that are not easy, but we somehow find it, years later, we find that we grew from it, we laughed at it, and we became different and better because we were able to laugh and take ourselves a little bit easier, you know? So thank you so much, and may we continue to grow.